If you've ever felt the kind of gut-level suspicion that keeps you awake at night, you're going to understand exactly how this all began. You ever look at someone you love, truly love, and suddenly feel like you're staring at a stranger wearing their skin? That was me 3 months ago, lying in bed next to a man whose heartbeat used to calm mine, but now made me feel like something inside me was slowly suffocating. And the worst part? I didn't even understand why at first. I just knew something was off. He was coming home late, hiding his phone, smiling at nothing, laughing in another room, whispering with the door half shut. And when I asked him if everything was okay, he kissed the top of my head and said, "Baby, you overthink too much." Maybe I was. Or maybe my instincts were trying to save me from a truth that was going to ruin everything I thought I knew about my life. Before I dive into the full story, if you're new here, make sure you hit that like button, share this video, and subscribe to The Spoken Pen, where real stories and real emotions turn into unforgettable journeys. And drop a comment letting me know where in the world you're listening from. Now let's get into it. Because what I discovered wasn't just betrayal. It wasn't just heartbreak. It was something darker. Something I never imagined could come from someone inside my own family. This is the story of how I hired a private investigator and learned that the woman destroying my marriage was my own sister. My name is Elise, and if you had asked me a year ago what my biggest blessing in life was, I would have said without hesitation my family. My husband, my sister, my parents. We were a small circle, a tight one. We weren't perfect, but we had the kind of connection people in movies like to pretend is real. Sunday dinners. Group chats that never stayed quiet. The kind of laughter that makes your stomach hurt. So when I tell you the truth destroyed more than my marriage, I need you to understand that it didn't just break my heart. It broke my reality. I'd been married to my husband, Aaron, for 6 years. We weren't one of those explosive couples that fight and make up like a bad soap opera plotline. No, we were steady, soft, predictable in the sweetest way. He'd make my coffee every morning. I'd straighten his ties when he rushed out the door. We'd watch crime documentaries together at night, picking apart the clues like we were detectives ourselves. He used to play with my hair until I fell asleep, tracing lazy patterns on the back of my neck. And I used to believe that no matter how chaotic life got, we were each other's safe place. But things changed quietly at first. Little shifts, little shadows, little silences. It started with late nights. That wasn't unusual exactly. He worked in finance and busy seasons were stressful. But he began coming home after midnight more often than not. I told myself not to worry, but sometimes when he came in, he smelled faintly of something sweet, a perfume I didn't wear. I tried to chalk it up to someone he walked past, some client's overly enthusiastic wife maybe. But the scent always lingered a little too close to his skin, sometimes on his collar, sometimes on his hands, and once, God, I wish I hadn't noticed it, on his cheek. Then there was his phone. Aaron used to leave it anywhere, on the kitchen counter, in his car, buried in the couch cushions. He never cared because he never had anything to hide. But suddenly he treated that thing like it was a newborn infant that couldn't be left alone for a second. He kept it face down. He changed his password. He took it with him to shower. He flinched when it buzzed. And his smile, that smile he'd give when he looked at a screen instead of me, that was new. It wasn't the soft smile he gave me when I texted something cute. It was secretive, private, intimate. One night, I woke up around 2 a.m. to the sound of voices. Muffled, low. I thought maybe Aaron left the TV on downstairs, so I got up to turn it off. But when I walked halfway down the stairs, I realized the sound wasn't from the living room. It came from the laundry room, where Aaron was standing talking softly on the phone. The moment he saw me, he went rigid, like he'd been caught doing something he knew he shouldn't. "Hey," he said too quickly. "Couldn't sleep." "I could ask you the same thing," I replied, trying to keep my voice neutral. He forced a laugh. Forced so hard it felt like hearing a lie crack. "Just work stuff. Didn't want to wake you." Work stuff. At 2 a.m. In the laundry room. Whispering. But I swallowed it. Because when you love someone, you give them the benefit of the doubt long after you shouldn't. The change with my sister was even slower, even quieter. Her name is Mia. She's 3 years younger than me, the spontaneous one, the wild one, the one who always made everything feel like an adventure. Growing up, she followed me everywhere, always wanting to borrow my clothes, my makeup, my music. She used to say she wanted a love like mine someday. A real love. The kind she thought only existed in stories. We weren't just sisters, we were best friends. Or thought we were. Around the same time Aaron began acting strange, Mia started canceling plans. She loved coming over for dinner, but she stopped. She stopped texting as much. Stopped calling as much. She said she was busier with work. I believed her. I didn't want to imagine there was more to it than that. But there were signs. Subtle ones. Like her showing up to family dinners wearing a bracelet I didn't recognize. One I had seen in an online ad months earlier and had mentioned wanting, though Aaron shrugged when I brought it up. Or the way she'd disappear for long stretches of time during gatherings, stepping outside to take calls. Or the way she suddenly avoided looking me in the eye when we talked about relationships. It was like watching shadows fall over two people I loved most, but I kept telling myself I was imagining things. Overthinking. Being paranoid. But then came the moment everything changed. It was late on a Thursday. Aaron was packing an overnight bag for a company retreat 2 towns over. He was irritated, rushed, not meeting my eyes. I had been on edge all week, and I finally asked him the question that had been eating me alive. "Are you seeing someone else?" He froze. Not the way someone innocent freezes. The way someone guilty freezes. He didn't yell. He didn't deny it instantly. He didn't even look surprised. He just sighed, a long weary sigh, and said, "Elise, I don't want to have this argument." Argument. As if I was creating a problem out of nothing. As if my fear was something inconvenient he wished would disappear. He tucked his toothbrush into the bag, zipped it shut, and kissed my forehead like you might comfort a child who doesn't understand how the world works. Then he left, and something inside me cracked. That night, after pacing the living room until my legs felt like jelly, I sat on the couch with my laptop and typed into the search bar, "How to hire a private investigator." I didn't want to be that woman. Desperate, suspicious, distrusting. But I also didn't want to be a fool. And right then I didn't know which one I was. I called the first reputable agency I found. A man answered, deep voice, calm tone, firm but not cold. His name was Damon. Former law enforcement. 20 years of experience. Said he'd heard every suspicion, every fear, every kind of betrayal, and nothing shocked him anymore. I didn't know if that made me feel better or worse. We met the next morning in a cafe across town. He was older, maybe early 50s, with a weathered face and sharp eyes that seemed to see through people instead of at them. He listened without interrupting, nodding occasionally, scribbling notes on a yellow pad. When I finished, he leaned back, crossed his arms, and said, "You're not crazy." I almost cried just hearing someone validate what I had been doubting for months. He asked for names, details, schedules, photos, addresses. I gave him everything, feeling both terrified and relieved at the same time. He said it might take days or weeks depending on how careful Aaron was being. But it didn't take weeks. It took 3 days. 3. On the third evening, Damon texted me asking to meet in person. I drove to his office with my heart pounding so loud it felt like I could hear it in my teeth. The office was small, dimly lit, and filled with file cabinets and old photographs. Damon sat behind his desk with a folder in front of him. A thin folder. Too thin. He slid it toward me. "There's something you need to see," he said quietly. My fingers shook as I opened it. Inside were printed photographs. Grainy but unmistakable. Aaron, my husband. His arms around a woman in a parking lot. Her head resting on his shoulder. His hand on her waist in that familiar, intimate way he used to hold me. But it wasn't the image that shattered me. It was the woman's face. It was Mia, my sister, smiling up at him like she had finally found the love she had always said she wanted. My breath left my body in a rush, like someone punched me in the lungs. My vision blurred. My ears rang. I genuinely thought I might pass out. Damon's voice sounded miles away when he said, "I'm sorry. I know this is a lot. A lot. This wasn't a lot. This was annihilation. This was the kind of pain that doesn't just break your heart, it breaks your identity. I don't remember leaving the office. I don't remember driving home. I don't remember climbing into bed. All I remember is staring at the ceiling, wondering how long they had been lying to me. How many dinners I ate with them knowing glances passed between them. How many holidays they shared feelings I didn't know existed. How many times my sister sat across from me, smiling, pretending to support my marriage while secretly tearing it apart. That night I didn't sleep. I cried until parts of my face felt numb. I laughed at how stupid I was. I screamed into a pillow because there was nowhere for that kind of anger to go. I tried to breathe through betrayal so thick it felt like drowning. By morning, something inside me had changed. The version of me who trusted too easily was gone. The version of me who believed family was unbreakable was gone. A new version emerged. One built from the ashes of devastation. One who wanted answers. One who wanted the truth. And I wasn't leaving my house that day until I got it. The morning sun spilling through my bedroom blinds felt wrong. Too warm, too gentle. Like the world didn't understand that mine had just imploded. I sat up slowly, my head heavy, my eyes burning from a night of crying. My throat felt raw. My hair was tangled. I looked like someone who'd been hit by a car, and honestly, emotionally, I had been. Betrayal doesn't just wound you. It hollows you out. I went downstairs in a kind of fog. I wasn't hungry, but I needed something to ground me, so I made coffee. Hands trembling so badly the spoon clattered against the mug. I could barely taste the drink, but the warmth in my palms gave me something to hold on to. Something real. Because nothing else felt real. Not my marriage. Not my sister. Not the last 6 years of my life. I sat at the kitchen table staring at the grain in the wood, replaying every moment that now felt like a lie. Every holiday photo. Every phone call from Mia where she giggled and asked, "How's Aaron?" "He's still treating you like a queen." Every time Aaron insisted I invite her to join us for dinner. The way she always showed up dressed nicer than I did, laughing a little too loudly at his jokes. It all made sense now. The puzzle pieces I ignored had finally assembled into a picture so awful I still couldn't look at it without feeling sick. The rage hit me in slow, pulsing waves. Anger so white-hot it made my fingertips tingle. I wasn't a violent person, but I understood now how people could destroy things when the truth hit too hard. A small voice inside me whispered that I should smash something, anything, to release what was building inside my chest. But I forced myself to stay still. Stillness was the only thing keeping me from drowning. Around 9 a.m. my phone buzzed with a text from Aaron. Made it to the retreat safe. Busy day ahead. Love you. My blood boiled. He had the audacity to write love you after spending last night with my sister. How long had they been sneaking around? Weeks? Months? Years? I dragged my hand through my hair and stared at the message like it belonged to another life. I didn't reply. Instead, I opened the photos Damon had given me, zooming in on their faces, comparing every pixel to my memories. Mia tucked under Aaron's chin, Aaron's hand cupping her cheek. Their smiles, not playful, not guilty. Content. Comfortable. Intimate. Seeing it again was a knife twisting in an already deep wound. I needed answers. For my sanity. For my dignity. For the version of me who deserved at least the truth. So I did the thing I had spent the entire night debating. I called my sister. She answered on the second ring, cheerful and bright. False sunshine through a storm. Hey, big sis. What's up? My throat tightened so sharply it felt like it might close. I swallowed hard, but my voice still came out strained. Mia, we need to talk. There was a pause, barely a second, but enough for me to hear her inhale sharply. Enough time to catch the flicker of fear in her silence before she recovered. Okay. About what? I almost said it right there. I almost screamed into the phone. I know you're sleeping with my husband. But the words lodged in my chest like broken glass. I wasn't ready. Not yet. I needed to see her face when she lied to me. Needed to watch her mouth twist the truth into something palatable. Can you come over? I asked instead. Now. Another pause. She hesitated. I could hear it. Feel it. I'm kind of busy today. Can it wait? No, I said firmly. It can't. She exhaled through her nose, trying to sound annoyed instead of anxious. Fine. Give me 30 minutes. She hung up. I stared at my phone long after the call ended, feeling a coldness spread through my body. This was happening. I was going to confront her. The sister who once pinky promised she'd never hurt me. The girl who cried in my lap when her first boyfriend dumped her. The girl I taught to drive. The girl I defended in school when people picked on her. What a fool I had been. When the doorbell rang half an hour later, I felt my heart slam against my ribs. I walked to the door slowly, like someone approaching something dangerous. And maybe I was. I opened it. Mia stood there looking flawless as usual. Hair curled, sunglasses pushed up on her head, lips glossed. She wore a fitted top and jeans that looked intentionally casual, but everything about her felt too polished, too prepared. She gave me a quick once-over and frowned. Geez, Elise. You look like you haven't slept. I didn't, I said, stepping aside to let her in. She walked past me, her perfume leaving a trail behind her, sweet, citrusy. The same scent I'd smelled on Aaron's clothes. The ground seemed to tilt beneath me. She dropped her purse onto the couch and turned to face me with a bored expression, arms crossed. Okay, spill. What's going on? I studied her face, searching for guilt, for regret, for anything human. But all I saw was impatience. Annoyance. Like I was inconveniencing her. Mia, I said quietly. I hired a private investigator. Her expression didn't change at all. Not a flicker. Not a twitch. Nothing. She blinked once and shrugged. Okay. And he found out who Aaron's been cheating with. The air shifted. The temperature dropped. Everything went still. Mia's face remained unreadable for a long moment. Her eyes didn't widen. Her mouth didn't fall open. She just looked at me, calm, composed, like she'd been waiting for this. Finally she spoke. Okay. That one word sliced straight through me. Okay. I repeated, my voice cracking. That's all you have to say? She sighed, rolling her eyes toward the ceiling like I was being dramatic. Elise, what do you want me to say? How about the truth? My voice rose sharper than I intended. How about you explaining to me how long this has been going on? How about telling me why? How about apologizing? She flinched slightly at the last word, but her jaw tightened stubbornly. It just happened, she said quietly. I laughed, a bitter, humorless sound. People don't fall and accidentally land in each other's beds, Mia. She closed her eyes like I was exhausting her. You don't understand. Then make me understand, I snapped. She hesitated. Her eyes softened for the first time, but it wasn't remorse. It was something else. Something I didn't recognize. I didn't plan it, she said finally. I swear I didn't. But Aaron, he listened to me. He saw me. We connected. My stomach lurched. Connected. Like I was a wall in my own marriage. Like she had slipped into the emotional space only I should have had. And what about me? I whispered. Did you think about me at all? Did you think about what this would do to me? Her eyes flickered away. I thought you two were falling apart anyway. The words hit me so hard I actually stepped back. Is that how you justify it? I asked. By deciding for me that my marriage was over? She frowned. Elise, you're always so dramatic. You read into things too much. Aaron was miserable. Miserable. I repeated. He never said that to me. Of course he didn't, she snapped, her voice rising. He didn't want to hurt you. He didn't want to make things worse. Oh, right, I said sarcastically. So he chose the wonderful, noble path of cheating with my own sister. So considerate. She threw her hands up. You're twisting everything. No, I said firmly. I'm finally seeing everything clearly. A beat of silence. Heavy. Painful. Dangerous. I took a slow breath. How long, Mia? Her lips pressed into a thin line. Her eyes darted to the side. Then back to me. Then away again. Mia, I said, stepping closer. How long? She swallowed. 7 months. The number punched the air out of my lungs. 7. 7 months of lies. 7 months of family dinners. 7 months of secret glances. 7 months of me being the idiot wife who thought her marriage was just stressed, not replaced. I felt something inside me snap. 7 months meant their affair started long before the late nights. Long before the retreat excuses. Long before I noticed anything at all. It meant they had been careful, strategic, deliberate. My sister reached out a hand like she wanted to touch me. Elise, don't, I said sharply, stepping back. Her hand dropped. Elise, I didn't mean. You didn't mean to get caught, I corrected coldly. She froze. That was it. That was the truth sitting right there in the space between us. She wasn't sorry. She was scared. Scared of losing Aaron. Scared of losing the life she thought she was building behind my back. Scared of what comes next. But not scared of hurting me. Not one bit. Suddenly her eyes narrowed. You weren't supposed to find out like this. I barked out a laugh. Oh, so there was a plan? Her silence told me everything. Aaron said he wanted to talk to you after the retreat, she muttered. He said he'd tell you everything. I stared at her, stunned into silence. They were planning to come clean. Together. Like they were the ones doing something brave. Like they were about to start their new life, and wanted to give me the courtesy of stepping out of the frame. I felt sick. That's why he's been distant, she continued. He didn't want to hurt you, Elise. But he loves me. The room spun. My ears rang. My hands trembled so violently I had to grip the back of a chair to steady myself. You need to leave, I said quietly. Mia took a step toward me. Elise, get out. She froze. Elise, please. Get out. My voice cracked like a whip. She flinched. She grabbed her purse with shaking hands and walked toward the door, pausing only once. Someday, she whispered, you'll see this was meant to happen. The door closed behind her, and I stood there in the quiet of my once safe home, letting the reality sink into my bones. My husband loved my sister. My sister loved my husband, and neither of them loved me enough to stop. But I wasn't done. Not by a long shot. Because betrayal like this doesn't end with tears. It ends with consequences. And I was just getting started. After Mia walked out of my house, the silence that followed wasn't peaceful. It was suffocating. Heavy. The kind of silence that makes you feel the shape of your loneliness pressing against your ribs. I stood in the entryway for a long time, staring at the door she had closed behind her, almost expecting it to open again. For her to come back. For her to say she was lying, that it was all some kind of twisted prank, some catastrophic misunderstanding. But that door stayed shut. And the truth stayed exactly where it was, an open wound. I sank onto the couch, pulling my knees to my chest, trying to hold myself together even as everything inside me felt like it was collapsing. I kept replaying her words, every careless explanation, every excuse, every attempt to rewrite reality into something she could live with. She didn't even try to deny it. She didn't even cry. She didn't even look guilty. She looked annoyed, like I was ruining her day by confronting her betrayal. It hit me then with chilling clarity. Mia hadn't just betrayed me. She didn't think she had to feel bad about it. My own sister didn't believe she owed me remorse. The thought made my breath catch. I pressed my hand to my chest, trying to push down the ache that seemed to radiate through every inch of my body. I didn't know what to do first. Should I call Aaron and scream at him? Should I call my parents and shatter their hearts? Should I pack bags? Should I burn everything he ever touched? My phone buzzed. For a moment I prayed it wasn't Mia or Aaron, because I didn't trust myself not to say something that would scorch the earth. But when I checked the screen, it was Damon. Damon checking in. You okay? The answer was no. 1,000 times no. But I typed, "Me yes. Thank you." Seconds later my phone rang. I answered, surprised to hear his voice softer than usual. "Elise, you don't have to pretend," he said gently. "I've seen this before. You're allowed to not be okay." Hearing that almost undid me. Tears pricked at my eyes, threatening to spill again, but I forced myself to breathe. I confronted her. I managed. I assumed that didn't bring much peace. No. It brought nothing. He exhaled heavily. "Do you want to move forward with gathering more evidence?" I hesitated, wiping my face with the back of my hand. "More evidence?" "Elise, he said slowly. Affairs like this rarely stay simple, and I have reason to think there may be more going on here than you realize. A chill ran down my spine. What do you mean? I'd rather show you in person. Can you come to the office? I didn't want to leave the house. I didn't want to see anyone. But something in his tone told me I needed to hear whatever he had found. I'll be there in 20 minutes. I washed my face, tied my hair back, and forced myself to look somewhat presentable. Not because I cared how Damon saw me, but because I needed to feel like a functioning human being for at least an hour. The drive to his office felt like moving through a dream, slow and distant. When I arrived, Damon opened the door before I could knock, his expression serious. He gestured toward his desk. Another folder lay there, but this one was thicker. My heart dropped. "Sit," he said. I sat. He opened the folder, revealing photographs, screenshots, transcriptions. "Elise, I didn't want to overwhelm you yesterday, but I kept digging after I left you. Something didn't sit right with me." "What didn't?" "The frequency of meetings. The secrecy. The pattern of communication. Affairs are messy, disorganized, emotional. But this was organized. Patterned. Almost scheduled." "Scheduled?" I whispered, feeling my stomach twist. He nodded. "I mapped the locations where Aaron and Mia met. There's a pattern suggesting regularity, weekly, sometimes bi-weekly. And not just romantic meeting spots. Hotels, yes. But also office buildings. Storage facilities. Private residences I couldn't confirm ownership on." I blinked. Why would they meet at storage facilities? That's what I asked myself. He pulled out a printed screenshot. It was a bank transaction. From Aaron to a storage company. I ran a search. He's renting a unit under an alias. My chest constricted. What's in it? That's what I'm trying to find out. Legally, I can't break in without a court order. But I can observe. And I did. He handed me a photograph taken from a distance. A grainy but clear shot of Aaron unlocking a storage unit door. And behind him was Mia, my sister, wearing the same outfit she had worn to our parents' barbecue 2 weeks earlier. My breakfast lurched in my stomach. "I don't understand," I said weakly. "Why would they need a storage unit?" Damon hesitated. "Elise, have you ever known Aaron to be involved in anything financially questionable?" "What?" I frowned. "He works in finance. But he's not a criminal." Damon didn't respond. He just reached for another photograph. This one sent ice straight down my spine. It was a picture of Aaron handing Mia an envelope. Thick, heavy, stuffed with cash. My mouth went dry. What is this?" I traced the dates of those cash withdrawals. "Aaron has been moving money out of your joint accounts in increments just small enough not to trigger bank flags." I felt my breath falter. He wouldn't do that. He wouldn't steal from me. But even as I said it, a horrible realization began unraveling inside me. The missing money I hadn't noticed. The strange ATM receipts I found in his jacket pockets. The sudden rush to refinance the car. The new credit card he said was for travel perks. Oh God. He was moving money. Quietly. Carefully. Preparing. "And that's not all," Damon said, pulling out another sheet. "A signed rental agreement. For a condominium. Under my husband's name. With Mia listed as the secondary occupant." My vision blurred. My lips trembled. "No," I whispered. No, he wouldn't." "Elise," Damon said gently. "He's building a life with her. The room swayed. I gripped the edges of my chair, the truth ripping me in half. "He's planning to leave," I whispered. Damon didn't correct me. He didn't have to. I could see it now. The late nights, the whispered calls, the perfume on his shirt, the hesitation when I asked if he was cheating, the frustration I felt every time he brushed me off. He wasn't confused. He wasn't conflicted. He wasn't torn between two women. He was transitioning from one life to another. "It gets worse," Damon said softly. My heart thudded painfully. How could it get worse? He handed me a printed screenshot of a text message. It was from Aaron to someone labeled M. It wasn't Mia's number. A burner phone. "Aaron, I'll tell her after the retreat. Just be patient. Everything has to look natural. I don't want any legal backlash." Reply. "What about her money?" "Aaron, I'll handle it. She won't fight back." I felt like the air had been sucked from the room. My money. My savings. My life. He wasn't just planning to leave me. He was planning to drain me. "Elise," Damon said carefully, "I believe Aaron may be preparing to initiate divorce proceedings. Quietly. And he may be attempting to position himself financially before you can react. That's why he didn't want you to know about the affair yet." Tears fell silently down my cheeks, hitting the folder on the desk. "And Mia?" I croaked. "What does she get out of this?" Damon took a deep breath. "I don't know. But it's clear she's cooperating. And benefiting." My hands shook uncontrollably. "What do I do?" "You protect yourself," Damon said firmly. "Immediately. I don't even know where to start." "That's why I called you," he said. "I have an attorney friend, a divorce lawyer, one of the best. She can guide you through this. But the most important thing right now is that Aaron cannot suspect you know anything." I wiped my face with trembling fingers. "I confronted Mia." Damon froze. "Did you tell her about the investigator?" "No. Just that I knew about them." He exhaled slowly. "That's good. But she's going to tell him. You understand that, right?" The truth hit me hard. Of course she would. She wasn't loyal to me anymore. She was loyal to him. Damon stood. "You need to go home. Pack a bag. Hide it somewhere he'll never find it. Secure your important documents, passport, social security card, birth certificate. Move half of your savings into a separate account in your name only. And do not confront Aaron until you've spoken to the lawyer." I nodded numbly, my mind spinning. "Elise," he said gently, placing a steady hand on my shoulder, "I know this feels impossible, but you are not alone. And you are not powerless." His words settled into me like a small anchor in a storm. I wasn't powerless. Not anymore. I drove home feeling both numb and electrified, like my brain had split into two versions of myself, one grieving, one calculating. I opened the safe where we kept our documents and pulled out everything. Birth certificates, tax statements, marriage license, bank account info. I stuffed them into a file and hid it in the bottom of a laundry basket beneath old towels. Then I packed a small backpack with essentials and shoved it into the trunk of my car under the emergency blanket. I checked the time. Aaron wouldn't be home for hours. But Mia was the wild card. She could ruin everything if she told him too soon. So I needed to move fast. I transferred half my savings into a new account under my name and froze the joint credit card. My hands were shaking the entire time, but not from fear. From adrenaline. From awakening. From reclaiming control. When everything was done, I walked into the living room and stared at the couch where Mia had sat hours earlier, lying to my face. I whispered to the empty room, "You are not going to break me." And for the first time since the nightmare began, I felt something other than devastation. I felt resolve. Fire. Steel. My phone buzzed again. It was Aaron. A text. "Aaron. Hey babe. How's your day?" My hand trembled as I stared at the screen. He had no idea the world he created was burning. I typed back, "Me. Fine. See you tomorrow. Hope the retreat is going well." He replied with a heart emoji. I stared at it, letting the truth sink in. He thought he was in control. He thought he would leave me on his timeline when he was ready, when he felt safe and comfortable. But he underestimated the woman he married. Tomorrow, everything would begin to unravel. And not for me. For them. I didn't sleep that night. Not really. I drifted in and out of shallow, fractured dreams. Aaron's voice whispering lies, Mia's laughter echoing somewhere just out of sight, my own heartbeat pounding loud enough to wake me. Every time I closed my eyes, I saw that photograph in Damon's folder. Mia leaning into Aaron, blissfully unaware, or uncaring, that she was helping destroy my life. When the sun rose, my entire body felt like it had been wrung out. Today everything would change. I showered slowly, letting the water soften the ache in my muscles, letting it wash away the weakness I felt the night before. When I stepped out, I didn't feel strong, but I felt steadier, a little less breakable, a little more ready. I wore something simple, jeans, a sweater, flats. Not because I wanted to look good, but because I wanted to blend in. I didn't want to be noticed. I didn't want anyone, especially Aaron, to sense a shift in me. At 9 a.m., Damon texted me the address of the attorney's office. "Damon, she's expecting you. Don't hold back. Tell her everything." I took a deep breath and left the house. The law firm was downtown, tucked between a coffee shop and a high-rise with mirrored windows. The reception area was sleek and modern, all clean lines and glass. A woman in her late 40s stepped out of an office to greet me. She had sharp eyes, a sharper suit, and the calm confidence of someone who destroyed many a lying spouse in court. "Elise? I'm Mariah," she said, extending her hand. "Let's talk." Her office smelled faintly of jasmine and ink. I sat across from her at a polished desk, clutching the folder of documents I'd hidden the night before. "Damon filled me in on the basics," she said. "But I want to hear it from you." So I told her. Every detail. The late nights. The suspicion. Hiring Damon. Discovering the affair. Confronting Mia. Learning about the money transfers. The condo. The storage unit. The text messages that hinted at financial manipulation. I expected to cry, to break, to unravel. But as I spoke, I felt strangely calm, detached, focused, like the pain had crystallized into something sharp and useful. Mariah listened without interrupting, her expression unreadable. When I finished, she leaned back and folded her hands thoughtfully. "Well," she said, "you're dealing with a double betrayal, both spousal and familial. That complicates the emotional layer but simplifies the legal one." Simplifies. I echoed skeptically. Yes. Family involvement often strengthens your case because juries and judges respond strongly to breaches of loyalty that go beyond the marriage itself. Mia's involvement will not work in his favor. The idea of a judge hearing about my sister sleeping with my husband made my stomach twist, but I nodded. "What do I need to do?" I asked. "Continue what you're doing," she said. Gather evidence. Don't tip him off. Don't change your routine too much. And most importantly, act exceptionally normal when he comes home. Normal. The word tasted like poison. You're going to freeze the remaining joint assets, she continued, and file for divorce tomorrow morning. Tomorrow. The word landed like a punch. Mariah leaned forward, her voice steady. Elise, if you wait, you risk giving him time to move more money or manipulate the narrative. Today is your last day of preparation. Tomorrow we file. And when he's served, he will have no financial leverage. I swallowed hard. And Mia? Mariah's eyes hardened. She'll be subpoenaed. She'll have to testify. And trust me, whatever fantasy she thinks she's living with your husband will collapse under legal pressure. My hands tightened in my lap. The thought of Mia facing consequences should have felt satisfying. It didn't. Just felt tragic. When our meeting ended, Mariah handed me a list of final steps. Documents to secure, statements to print, passwords to change. I left the office feeling like I was walking through fog, but fog with a direction. Damon called as soon as I stepped outside. How did it go? She's fierce, I said. And terrifying. So she's exactly what you need. I exhaled shakily. Yes. Elise, Damon said carefully. We have another problem. My chest tightened. What now? I continued surveillance this morning. Aaron left the retreat. My pulse spiked. Left? Why? He received a phone call 15 minutes before he checked out. From Mia. Cold fear washed over me. She told him, I whispered. I think she did, Damon confirmed. He's heading back to your city now. Oh God. You need to stay calm, Damon warned. He may come home early to confront you. If he suspects you're preparing legally. I know, I said, cutting him off. I'll act normal. I won't let him know. Elise, he's dangerous right now. Not physically, but strategically. A cornered man will try anything to protect himself. The truth of that statement made my skin prickle. I hung up and drove home quickly, locking the door behind me. I checked every hidden item, documents, backup bag, financial statements. Everything was where I left it. Then I sat on the couch, heart racing, waiting for the sound of his key in the door. It didn't take long. 2 hours later, I heard a car pull into the driveway. My stomach dropped. My heart hammered. My breathing grew shallow. I was about to face the man I once loved more than anything. The man who betrayed me with my own sister. The man planning to steal my money, my security, my future. I braced myself as the front door opened. Aaron stepped in, duffel bag slung over his shoulder, face tight and unreadable. He shut the door slowly, almost theatrically, as if trying to control the atmosphere. Elise, he said softly. His gentle tone made my skin crawl. Hi, I replied, keeping my voice even. He set the bag down and stepped closer. I fought every instinct to recoil. Why didn't you tell me you were upset? He asked. The question nearly made me laugh. Upset about what? I asked innocently. His jaw ticked. Don't play games. I raised an eyebrow. I'm not. He stared at me for a long moment, searching my face for cracks, for signs I knew the truth. I kept my expression neutral, detached. A mask I never knew I could wear so well. Did you talk to Mia today? He asked finally. My pulse roared in my ears, but I didn't flinch. I talked to Mia almost every day. Why? His eyes narrowed. She said you confronted her. I tilted my head. About what? His stare sharpened. Don't do this. I blinked at him, my voice soft and confused. Aaron, I have no idea what you're talking about. His lips parted. His breath hitched. He looked thrown off, like I had kicked the ground out from beneath him. Perfect. He didn't know what I knew. Not fully. Not yet. He dragged his hand through his hair, pacing. I feel like something's going on with you. You've been distant. This was almost sickening. The audacity. The projection. I've just been tired, I said. Work has been stressful. He stopped pacing and looked at me, searching again for the truth he couldn't detect. Elise. I met his gaze calmly. He cracked first. He lowered himself onto the couch beside me, close enough for me to feel the warmth of his body but far enough that it felt like a canyon yawned between us. I need to tell you something, he said quietly. My stomach churned. Here it was. The speech he had been rehearsing. The gentle, faux sympathetic script he planned to use when he finally confessed. The narrative where he painted himself as conflicted and compassionate, while secretly draining our accounts behind my back. He inhaled deeply. Elise, I think we've grown apart. A practice line. Rehearsed. Polished. I gave a slow nod. Maybe. But I still care about you, he continued. Do you? I said softly. He froze. Careful, Elise. Don't tip your hand. I looked down at my lap, pretending the question was emotional rather than strategic. He resumed, fragile sympathy dripping from every syllable. I never wanted to hurt you. But he had. Repeatedly. Deliberately. Systematically. There's someone else, he finally said. I inhaled sharply, just enough to look believable. His shoulders sagged with relief. He thought I was hearing this for the first time. It wasn't intentional, he lied. I didn't mean for it to happen. I nodded slowly, keeping my breathing steady. Who is she? I whispered. He closed his eyes as if the weight of the reveal pained him. Mia. I stared at him with practiced shock. He waited for me to break. I didn't. I'm so sorry, he said, reaching for my hand. I moved it away gently. He swallowed hard. I didn't want you to find out like this. Right. He wanted to tell me after he stole my money, after he secured the condo, after he protected himself legally. He sighed dramatically. Guilt painted on his features like a mask. I didn't mean for it to happen. But we connected. The same line Mia had used. Two liars reading from the same script. He touched his chest. Elise, you and I, we haven't been ourselves. And she was just available. I finished quietly. He blinked. No, comforting. I nearly choked on laughter. He stood abruptly. I think we need some space. I think I should stay at a hotel for a bit. Perfect. Exactly what I needed. I nodded. Okay. He blinked again. Okay. Maybe space is good, I said calmly. He watched me carefully, suspicion growing. You're handling this well. I'm processing, I whispered. He nodded slowly, uncertain. Pack me a small bag for tonight? My stomach dropped. He was testing me. If I panicked, if I broke, if I looked through his stuff with urgency, he'd know I suspected something. Sure, I said, standing. I'll pack one. I walked upstairs, keeping my pace slow and my breathing steady. I packed him a small bag, careful, methodical, normal. When I returned, he took it with a small, pitiful smile. Elise, we'll talk more tomorrow. Tomorrow. His planned breakup day. His planned betrayal. The day he thought he'd be in control. Not anymore. Okay, I whispered. He cupped my cheek gently. You're a good woman. You deserve someone who can give you everything. I'm just not that man anymore. And with that final lie, he left. The door clicked shut. Silence. Then my phone buzzed. It was Mariah. Mariah. He's gone. Me. Yes. Mariah. Good. Tonight you sleep. Tomorrow morning we serve him. I stared at the message, feeling the weight of the moment settle into my bones. Tomorrow. Tomorrow my marriage would officially end. Tomorrow my sister's fantasy would shatter. Tomorrow their world, the one they built in secrecy, would explode. The next morning, Mariah filed the divorce petition at 9:02 a.m. At 9:40 a.m., a process server found Aaron at the condo he thought I didn't know about. At 9:51 a.m., he was officially served. At 10:03 a.m. my phone rang. I let it ring twice before answering. Elise, what the hell did you do? He shouted, his voice cracking with genuine panic. You blindsided me. You. I protected myself, I said calmly. You froze the accounts, he barked. You emptied the savings. You plan to do the same, I replied. He stuttered. What? No, this isn't. You don't get to manipulate me anymore. Elise, listen. No, I said firmly. You listen. I know about the money. I know about the storage unit. I know about the condo. I know everything. Silence. Then a shaky breath. You hired someone, he said slowly. You knew. I knew. This isn't fair, he whispered. I nearly laughed. Fair? You tried to replace me with my own sister. He didn't respond. And Aaron, I added softly. We're done. I ended the call. 30 seconds later, my phone buzzed again. This time it was Mia. I didn't answer. She called twice more. I still didn't answer. Finally, she sent a text. Mia, please talk to me. Please. Aaron just told me. You didn't have to do this. You're ruining everything. Everything. They're everything. Not mine. I deleted her message. The divorce unfolded swiftly. Aaron tried to negotiate, tried to manipulate, tried to plead, tried to threaten. But Mariah dismantled him piece by piece. The affair, the hidden funds, the condo, the storage unit, the cash, the burner phone messages, the bank transfers. He had built his betrayal with such arrogance that his own actions became the rope he hung himself with. In the end, the judge granted me the house, the majority of marital assets, full control of my retirement accounts, a portion of Aaron's, and legal protection against future financial manipulation. Mia and Aaron lasted exactly 3 months after the divorce was finalized. Then he cheated on her. With a coworker. She called me one night at 2 a.m., sobbing hysterically into the phone. I let it ring until it stopped. Some consequences don't require revenge. Life handles them. Took me time to heal. I started therapy. I rebuilt friendships I'd neglected. I found a job I loved instead of tolerated. And I learned how to be alone without feeling lonely. And then slowly, painfully, wonderfully, I learned how to live again. One evening, months later, I sat on my porch with a cup of tea, watching the sunset turn the sky gold. I felt peace instead of pain, strength instead of sorrow, and I realized something important. I had lost 2 people I loved, but I'd found myself, the woman who walked through hell and came out whole, stronger, sharper, surer. unbreakable. And as the sun dipped beneath the horizon, I whispered something softly into the quiet. Thank you for leaving, Aaron. Because losing him saved me. If you made it this far, thank you for spending your time with the spoken pen. Your support means more than you know. If this story pulled you in, make sure to hit that like button before you go. It truly helps the channel grow. Don't forget to subscribe and click the notification bell so you never miss another story. And tell me in the comments, what part of today's story hit you the hardest? Thank you for listening. Stay safe, stay kind, and I'll see you in the next one.